What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining me this week for another video. So remember, like I mentioned in last week's video, at the end of last week's video, that this week's video is actually going to be interesting. And it is. It's going to be really interesting because I'm going to be talking about auto insurance companies and big corporate businesses and how they treat employees and just how they approach business in general. So if you guys are intrigued by this topic and want to find out more and hear what I have to say, please stay tuned. So let's get it. Alright, so initially I was planning on splitting this topic into two separate videos. One on the auto insurance companies and then one on the big corporation companies. But I figure since they're both companies, it actually would be more beneficial and practical to actually put them together. So that's what I'm going to do. So first we're going to talk about the auto insurance companies and then we'll get into the big corporations. On the auto insurance companies, it doesn't really matter which auto insurance companies you're probably thinking of, because this really goes for all of them and how they really do business, their mindset overall. Could be AAA, Farmers, Allstate, State Farm. It does not matter. It does not matter. But I want to tell you some examples, and a couple of these examples are actually stories about how Allstate just treats customers and does business. So it just kind of gives you a little snapshot into companies as a whole. But one in particular is a situation involving me and my brother. So my brother's car, which it's his car, but it's registered to me, and he was driving home one morning, and early morning, and there was this car that was driving erratically, like excessive speeds and excessive lane changing. My brother was approaching the exit for his place. So he looks in his mirror, he looks over his shoulder, the lane is clear. He proceeds to change lanes. And then all of a sudden, here comes the car that's at 1 minute over here, next minute over here, next minute over there, next minute over there. You can't keep track of where they're at. But the lane was clear. My brother starts merging. Here comes the car. So my brother actually clips the back of this other car as he's changing lanes. And the car spins out and flips over. CHP arrives, takes statements from both that driver and my brother, and 3 witnesses as well. And we didn't know that he had witnesses or that he was able to interview witnesses. I found that out later in the police report. But in the police report, these witness statements, 2 of them said that this other driver, not my brother, but the other party, they said this other driver was driving at speeds of like over 100 miles an hour. And one of the witnesses said that he was driving and changing lanes, like he was speeding, and he was excessive lane changing. So with that, the CHP officer concluded that my brother's not at fault. So we submitted this police report to the other party's insurance so that my brother could get his car fixed, and the other party's insurance is Allstate. Allstate comes back and says, well, we do our own investigation, and based on our own investigation, we're only accepting 50% responsibility because my brother is actually half at fault too because he was changing lanes. So let me get this straight. You have a car that's driving excessive rates of speed, over 100 to 100 and plus miles an hour, and lane changing, excessive lane changing, zigzagging. And my brother is half at fault because he doesn't keep track of at 1 minute the car is here and the next minute the car is over there? Really? I think the fact is actually they just don't want to pay out the money. They don't want to shell out the money, the full amount. They don't want to accept full responsibility because then they're going to be losing money. Another example, also involving Allstate, a friend of mine, he used to have Allstate, and he has long switched insurance companies because of this, but they were raising his insurance, and he lived in a low crime area. He had no accidents, no tickets, and he called them up and asked them why are they raising his rates? And this is what he said that they told him. Because he is single, it shows that he does not have responsibility. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Because he's single, it shows that he does not have responsibility? So, are they what? Forcing people to get married? If you look at the statistics on divorce, and he's not responsible because he's single? And then my sister's friend, this is with USAA, but he had an accident and he was out of work. He had to have surgery, messed up his back. It was a pretty bad accident. So he was trying to get compensated for the time that he missed from work, trying to get paid for that. USAA comes back and they are saying that they think that he's lying and making it all up. So much so that they took him to court. Really? Really? One of my other friends has AAA. And they kept moving him around to different adjusters, saying, oh, that adjuster is no longer with the company. That adjuster is no longer with the company. So the entire time that his car is at the body shop trying to get fixed, the body shop kept having to send more pictures and talk to different adjusters, all the while the original adjuster actually still works with the company. So does the left hand not know what the right hand is doing? How is there not even clear communication within the company? All of these different things from all these different insurance companies, all they want to do is they want to make money. And you might be thinking to yourself, Alex, wait a minute. Okay, so first of all, what you don't understand is auto insurance companies are for profit. So of course their goal is they're going to try to make money. They're not going to try to lose money. So the more money that they shell out, the more money that they're going to lose. So of course they're going to be driven by this, how do we save the most amount of money? And secondly, what you probably don't realize is, what about if some of these people are lying and not telling the truth? This is why they're so particular and stingy with wanting to make decisions like this. They're critical with wanting to make decisions, probably not stingy. And to that, I would say, well, here's the first thing. Do an investigation. Yes, that's fine, to make sure that the person's story is true or not. For like the USAA example, talk to the doctors that the said customer that was in the accident, the client, the insured person, is wanting to get compensated for. Talk to doctors. Have him get examined by doctors. Do all of this stuff. See what the doctors say. Unbiased doctors, not doctors that you're paying to find that that accident's not the problem, that he's making it up. You're not paying somebody just to tell you what you want so that you can not have to pay out. No, unbiased doctors that will look them over, okay, and tell what's actually going on. Secondly, what I will say also is the insurance companies should actually be nonprofit. They should not be for profit. They should be for the customers. Because how is it that you pay all this money to the insurance, and then when you need to use it, they try to shaft you and try not to pay out. How is that right? How is that right? You're paying for the, not just peace of mind, but the fact that if something were to happen, that you would be taken care of. And all of these insurance companies, what they do is when all of this stuff happens, they try to find reasons how not to pay you. Well, oh, you don't have this. Oh, well, you don't have that. Oh, well, technically this is only covered if this and this happens and that doesn't happen and you don't have this, so we're not. Seriously? Seriously? You find loopholes in how not to pay somebody? It's ridiculous. Insurance companies should be nonprofit. They should be for the customer. You pay all this money, and then when you need to use it, it's ridiculous. And then when you use your insurance rates go up. Excuse me, isn't that what I'm paying insurance for? Is so that if I need to use it, I can use it? They're like, oh no, well, I mean, there's been so many claims now. I mean, we have to raise the rates. And for people that are like getting into a bunch of accidents all the time, that don't know how to drive, so we have to raise the rates of the people who actually are driving good, who don't get in accidents. Why not raise the people's rates that are actually getting in the accidents, or not insure them anymore? But don't raise our rates. Don't penalize the people who drive good. Are you kidding me? This is not the way to do business. This is not the way to do business. And then their taglines. The taglines. Allstate, you're in good hands. Lies. Lies. State Farm, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Really? Really? And then you hear AAA. Oh, it's all about the customers. Thank you for your patience when you're on hold. Thank you for your patience. It's all about the customers. You know, you matter to us. Seriously? Seriously? You guys got to do better. Insurance companies as a whole, you got to do better. All right, so that takes me now to the big corporations. Big corporations. So what I've noticed and heard from people who, just work for companies, about like the higher ups, like the CEOs of these companies, and what they do is they will try to save the most amount of money, and they won't hire the necessary amount of employees because they're trying to cut costs. And then they don't pay the employees that they do have good money and really take care of them. So then you have employees that are like, man, I hate this job. This is just a means to an end until I can get something better. Why do we do this? Why do corporate companies do this? Why don't they treat employees properly? Why don't they pay them a good wage where that take care of the employees, that the employees will actually want to come to work and want to be there? And why don't they hire the correct amount of employees so that the workload doesn't fall on the employees that are already there, so that the employees are not overworked and underpaid? It's ridiculous that big corporations are so short-sighted and so blinded by the dollar amount that they can make. So they look at, well, the quickest way that we can save the most amount of money is not hire full-time people. Hire part-time, hire seasonal people. When if you play this out properly, if you take care of your employees, if you pay them the proper wage, if you actually hire the correct amount of people that you need to actually efficiently run your business, this plays out so much better than if you're only looking at your best interest on how to make your pocketbook the bigger. when all these other companies, all these other corporations, because they run their employees into the ground and they don't have good business practices, they end up folding in the future and declaring bankruptcy and going out of business. You, who are actually doing business correctly, and I will say there are some companies that actually do business correctly, that treat their employees correctly and really like take care of their employees and just their business, and that actually have good business practices. And for those companies, I just want to say thank you. I wish there were more of you. I really do. But for these other companies that don't, the long term is actually really bad. The long term is really bad. You start actually losing money, losing employees, and then you go under. Take care of your employees. Hire the correct amount of people. Invest the money in training these people correctly. Put money behind them. Pay them a proper wage. Recognize them. Give them awards. Say, thank you for your hard work and dedication, for coming in here and showing up on time and doing your work, taking care of what needs to be done. Everybody working as a team. Giving them bonuses. Things like this that show them that they matter, that they're more than just a number on a sheet, that they're a human being. When you do this, retention is higher. Like employee retention is higher. So they tend to stay with the company a lot longer, because it's not just about the dollar, but it's about how they feel seen and heard. That goes a long way. You start building your company, you start expanding, and don't lose that business practice when you start expanding. So, I don't know. I mean, these are just my thoughts on this. It really sparked this all because of the insurance company, but this really goes hand in hand with corporations as well, because, hey, guess what? You got CEOs of insurance companies as well. So if the insurance companies will possibly look at maybe taking it, instead of being for profit, actually being non-profit, so that you can actually care for the customers. And if corporations can look at, instead of always trying to just, where can I save the most amount of money and cut corners, why don't you look at, how can I take care of my employees and do business correctly? It reminds me of a meme that I saw, and it said something along the lines of, you cannot go to church and then treat people bad. It's true. You can't. You cannot go to church and then treat people bad. And the reason why I mention this is because this is what a lot of like CEOs do, is they'll call themselves Christians, right? They'll be CEOs of companies. They'll go to church, but then they run their business not how you would, as a Christian, be called to treat people. And you're like, well, I don't know. I mean, just because you don't see what's going on in front of you, you don't see the effect of it, like right in front of you, does not mean you're not affecting people. You, as like CEOs, the choices that you make, the decisions that you make about the direction your company goes and the practices that your company does affects the clientele that receive the goods of your company, whether it's insurance, whether it's actual like goods, groceries, or like clothing, whatever it is. It affects them. It trickles down. Employees are taken care of. Guess what? They're actually really, really nice to the customers. The customers also feel that same stuff. They tend to come back. They tend to refer people to your company. It's a snowball effect. We have to be mindful of the actions and the decisions that we make because it all really affects everybody else. It does. So, big companies, big corporations, CEOs, you've got to do better. You've got to practice business better. And auto insurance companies, same. You have to also practice businesses better. You got to take care of the customers. So I thank you guys so much for watching. Please comment below and let me know your thoughts. And let me know what kind of experiences that you've had with auto insurance companies or big corporations that maybe you'd like to share. So thank you guys for tuning in. Stay tuned for next week's episode. And as always, stay blessed.